Grace and peace. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. So let's go ahead and talk about this conversation that a friend of the channel, the lead attorney, recently had discussing the Karmelo Anthony case, what he thinks is going to be the outcome of it, and why in the world did they select Dominique Alexander to be their spokesperson. I want to bring this in and just kind of give a little bit of commentary. I love how Lee did it, but I just want to add something to it as well. Shout out to the lead attorney. Link will be down in the description as well. Let's go.
I want to start off this press conference to say something as a deep note that I can tell America. What we seen at the beginning of this press conference, the father being at this press conference, these are my words, don't quote anybody, is a disrespect to the dignity of his son.
This guy right here is Minister Dominique Alexander. He is Karmelo Anthony's family representative. Now, he's speaking on behalf of the family. He's not an attorney, not a lawyer. He is a minister. A minister of what type? Well, he calls himself a minister of justice. I believe that he represents everything wrong with how this family is handling this case. He represents the grift and the ignorance of the Karmelo family when it comes to administering the most important matter in their entire life. Now, let's take a step back for a second.
Before Lee takes a step back, I just want to add, I feel like this has been like a patchwork situation. The son, and we know what happened with Karmelo and the Metcalf young man, but immediately, it's kind of like immediately the family reached for, do you know somebody? Do you know somebody that could speak for us? Do you know somebody that could run our GoFundMe? Do you know somebody that could defend us? Do you know a realtor? It just seemed like they instead of pursuing professionals in their craft and experts in their field, they just kind of got whomever they could find. Now, did a little bit of research on Dominique. He's definitely, unequivocally, a grifter. No question about it. Lead is going to talk about it. I might share some other points about it as well. This dude is a true grifter. He's a grifter in Texas. So he's a tumbleweed, if you will. So it just seemed like they were willing to accept anything rather than kind of like your friend that would rather pay 3 times over instead of for shoddy service rather than just pay the full price the first time. This is them. Watch this.
For a second. We all remember the facts of this Karmelo Anthony case.
17-year-old Karmelo Anthony is accused of stabbing and killing another teen, Austin Metcalf, at a track meet back in April. Now, Anthony claims it was self-defense.
It's certainly not self-defense, but we'll talk about that in a second. After this guy Karmelo stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest, his family set up this GoFundMe type of account to help with his legal expenses. You can see right here that the campaign was created by the Anthony family, and it has raised $541,000, so $500,000. And their goal is to raise $1.4 million in total. Now, the Karmelo family has come under heavy fire for not only setting up this GoFundMe type of account, but then allegedly misspending the money on a luxury apartment and on a car. Then on top of that, they've come under even more scrutiny for raising the goal amount from $500,000 to $1.4 million. Everybody is asking, where is the money going? You would think that the money would be going to Karmelo's legal defense, right? That's why all the Black Democrats come out in support of Karmelo. They rush to defend him, donating to his cause. But if he has amassed over $500,000 for his legal defense, why is a minister of justice speaking on the family's behalf? Where is this attorney who just got 500 grand? Why is he not speaking at all? Let me tell you, if a client gave me 500,000, you would see me and only me, and you would never hear this Minister Dominique ever. This man.
And that's the point. Dominique, and you're going to see in a second, he's truly a tumbleweed rolling around Texas, wherever he can get in front of a camera. This is, and again, I don't think that they thought about, well, I do think they thought about it, but they just wanted to utilize this. You see $500,000. You see all this goodwill, all these people supporting, so on and so forth. I mean, they probably just got stars in their eyes, saw dollar signs in their eyes, and decided to just run with it.
Man is incompetent when it comes to handling a murder case. He lacks the knowledge, the experience, and the wisdom to properly guide this case on the right path. This is making me question how much money, if any, was actually given to an attorney and how much was given to Minister Dominique. Now, let's talk about the family's ignorance for a second. You could excuse them for appointing or paying this man to speak for them. It's a gross mistake, but they've never been in a situation as grave as this before.
And shout out to the lead, but we all know now that the family has declared themselves indigent and they need a public defender. So not only the question that he asked about where did the money go, what happened to the lawyer, I don't know. I have no idea where that money went. I have no idea did they pay it to a lawyer. But we do know now they've applied to be indigent and have a public defender defend them in court on the biggest case they'll probably ever see. This young man's life is hanging in the balance, and they have a public defender. But they're asking for almost $1 million, probably more. That's crazy. That's nasty work. And so the idea when people say that they're throwing this boy under the bus, I don't think that's being too harsh. I don't think it is at all. All right, let's go lead.
So, okay, they're not going to handle it perfectly. The problem is that this family, by choosing Minister Dominique to speak for them instead of an attorney, has missed the biggest chance to save Karmelo. And I'll explain that in a second. But let's ask ourselves, who is this Minister Dominique? To represent the family, he has to be a stand-up guy. He's a minister. He has to be righteous, correct? Look at this.
Dominique Alexander telling me by phone today he had a dispute with the mother of his children. He said he didn't hit or hurt anyone. However, for whatever reason, that woman ended up in the hospital's ER here.
Oh my God.
That is a sense of betrayal to me.
Alinka Green stood with Dominique Alexander just 2 days ago, calling for the arrests of those who attacked and beat a transgender woman in South Oak Cliff. She received a call this morning, learning of a police investigation into alleged domestic abuse involving Alexander and the mother of his children.
From what I understood, it was very violent to the point to where she had to go to the hospital.
You can't claim to fight evil and then stand aside when someone that you're friends with commits such an injustice.
Activist Jeff Hood, the same man who led with Alexander the Dallas protest against police brutality on July 7th, 2016, when 5 police officers were shot, he said he saw injuries on the body of Alexander's girlfriend on yesterday.
Oh my God.
Took her to a DPD substation to file a family violence complaint.
Steve, it wasn't 2 weeks ago that we were out in the streets in Deep Ellum protesting, marching, screaming, shouting against violence against women. And here we are today seeing one of the chief leaders of that protest having committed a despicable act of violence against his partner.
There he is right there. This man who is representing this family sent his girlfriend to the hospital, allegedly.
Alexander, by phone this afternoon, denied any physical attack against the woman. He called it a family dispute.
A family dispute. Let me get this straight. The family whose son stabbed a young man in the heart has appointed as their representatives a minister who allegedly sent his girlfriend to the hospital. Listen, let me be clear. All right. This woman was hospitalized and the minister said that he's innocent, that this was just a family dispute. I know from practicing over 20 years that men lie in court, but women can lie in court too. So I'm going to put this incident to the side for a second. But then look at this here.
And now that the public knows exactly what is going on, I ask, because these racist bigots
Okay, the race card, let's go.
try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy.
He says he wants to stand up for their baby, their boy. The same boy, by the way, that put a knife through a young man's chest. But Minister Dominique wants to stand up for that boy, for that baby. Well, the issue is that there was another baby, another boy that Minister Dominique had an interaction with. What happened to that baby? Maybe this article will give us a little insight. It says Dallas activist Dominique Alexander sentenced to prison. You see here that the police reported that Minister Dominique had been babysitting his girlfriend's 2-year-old son in the evening when he called her at 11 at night and said, "Hey, get home now." But he didn't tell her why. When the girlfriend girlfriend arrived, she found her child unresponsive. The good minister told his girlfriend that he had been watching a movie with her son on the couch. He paused the movie, and as he walked to the computer room, he heard the sound of her son, who was asleep on the couch, fall off the couch onto the floor. That was his argument. That was what he said happened. The doctors, however, disagreed. The doctor that examined the girlfriend's son in intensive care reported that the child had a subdural hemorrhage between the halves of his brain and the back of his brain. He also had retinal hemorrhages in both eyes. This article goes on to say on Friday afternoon, the prosecutors read the two statements that the good minister had signed not long after the incident occurred. In the first statement, the minister claimed that the child had fallen off the couch. In the second statement, the minister admitted to shaking the child. He was charged with a first-degree felony. And then, not long after he was arrested for injuring that child, causing severe bodily harm, the good minister got in trouble again for forging a check, leading police on a high-speed chase, and stealing a car. You are telling me that the Karmelo family appointed to represent them a minister who is a convicted felon, a minister who apparently sent his girlfriend to the hospital, then sent another girlfriend's 2-year-old son to the ICU with hemorrhages between the halves of his brain? This joker sent a baby to the hospital with brain damage. And this is the minister that the family wants to speak on behalf of Karmelo. Now, let's get back to this horrific Karmelo case that only gets worse and worse. Who is getting all of the money from this GoFundMe? Did this minister get in good with the family as a business opportunity? Why on earth would any family choose this man as a spokesman, a man with this type of past? And to be clear, it's not just the past that we are talking about. It's the present state of Karmelo's case as well. The good minister fumbled the absolute best opportunity to save Karmelo's future. Now you ask, well, how could he have saved Karmelo? We all know what Karmelo did with that knife. A young man is dead. The nation knows what happened inside of that tent. What on earth could save him?
All right. And I like the way Lee is going to address this. So I want to pause for a second, give you a chance to think. And you may have already heard this, or maybe you hadn't, or maybe you hadn't even considered it. What could Dominique Alexander have done to rescue Karmelo Anthony, to help Karmelo Anthony, to save him or make his case better? Just think about it. And it centers around this press conference day and all the interactions that happen. So let's go.
Karmelo can't go to trial and say, I didn't do it. The only issue is whether it's self-defense. And as a 20-year attorney, I have not heard how he was justified in using deadly force at all. So he's going to get convicted. Now, a conviction isn't the worst part of a criminal case. What's the worst part? It's the sentencing. And a lot goes into sentencing. A lot goes into how much time you'll spend in prison. Karmelo's going to have the option to choose whether he wants the judge or a jury to sentence him. And in most cases out there in Texas, a jury is selected for that duty. Now, we know what a jury is supposed to be, a group of your peers. It's people selected from your community. If your community thinks you're trash and they hate you, they can lock you up for decades. But if that same jury, those same community members feel like you got a raw deal or that you deserve mercy, they can go easy on you. As an example, a man was recently sentenced when he shot his wife on camera at basically point blank range. She was unarmed. She didn't have any weapon. She was filming him with her phone. He killed her dead in the driveway. Don't you know that an all-female jury gave him only 10 years for the killing? And on top of that, after the first 5 years, he's ineligible for parole. The woman was unarmed and she's dead. Only 10 years and he might only serve 5. What is that? That's flexibility. That's discretion that's built into the legal system. Now, did Karmelo also kill someone at point blank range who was unarmed? Yes, he did. And did Karmelo in this case have that opportunity to use this flexibility, to use this discretion? Absolutely. And what happened? The good minister threw it all away. We know that young Austin Metcalf was killed by Karmelo, and Austin's father, Jeff Metcalf, has been very vocal about this case. case. He says that even though he is in so much pain, he has forgiven Karmelo. He sees the utter and complete tragedy in this situation. So at Karmelo's press conference, guess who shows up? Jeff Metcalf, the father. He shows up to pray with the family. And what does the family do? What does the good minister Dominique do? What do they do when this grieving father shows up to pray with him? They kick.
Okay, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm trying to stop right on the spot. My bad, lead. Man, I'm a little bit conflicted about coming to the press conference to pray with the family. I can see both sides of the argument. I can see what the Metcalfs were doing. I can see why the Anthonys didn't want them. I can see what Lead is about to say. Lead is definitely convincing me that the Anthony family made the worst decision of the two. Again, I don't know where I would be. Prayerfully, none of you will ever have to be there to figure out what you would do if you were on either side of the discussion, because it is painful. I can only imagine what everybody's experiencing. So, okay, Lead, I'm sorry about that. Let's go, brother.
Kick him out.
But before the press conference began, Austin Metcalf's dad, Jeff, says he was escorted out by police.
Mr. Metcalf has said that he came there to pray with the family, but you had him removed. Why?
We wanted to give our children. I don't know anything about Mr. Metcalf coming to pray about the family. He never expressed that to any of the staff.
You said the father being at this press conference is a disrespect to the dignity of his son. That was disrespectful. Just shows you all the character. He was not invited.
Imagine invoking the name of this man's late son and saying that it was disrespectful to the son's memory. That's what this minister has just said.
He's not invited. You say it was a disrespect to the dignity of his son. Do you want to clarify that?
You know, at that time, I'm not above reapproach or whatever.
He's not above reapproach or whatever.
That's crazy.
You know, it was high emotions at that time.
The good minister says that it was high emotions at that time. And these high emotions caused him to outrageously disrespect this grieving father. Do you know who's good at handling high emotions in legal situations? Attorneys. But who does this family have speaking for them? Good old Minister Dominique. Let me just ask you, how beautiful would it have been in this press conference to have the two families praying together, crying together, seeking reconciliation together, healing together? It would have made national headlines. The potential jurors in the community definitely would have seen that. The prosecutors would have seen that. The judge assigned to this case would have seen it. With these two families praying together and healing together, what jury is going to throw the book at Karmelo after that? When the victim's own father said that he has forgiven Karmelo and nothing will bring his boy back, how can the jury lock him up and throw away the key forever? Believe me when I tell you that Minister Dominique just threw away a golden opportunity to cut years, maybe even decades off of Karmelo's sentence. There is no way to get that opportunity back. The handling of this case has just been an absolute disaster. Guys, what do you think? If you were the judge or the jury in this case, how many years would you give Karmelo for the killing? Put your answer in the comments below.
All right. Shout out to lead attorney, man. What a great perspective on that. And, you know, we now know even more about how this family has fumbled the bag and fumbled the opportunities to do the right thing for their child. I don't know. Maybe they are throwing them under the bus. Maybe they're just incompetent. Maybe they got shanghaied by a grifter, Dominique Alexander, to slide in and try to take over the whole story. I don't know. But I do want to hear what you said, what you're thinking about it. Of course, this has been a very polarizing, but even since, I believe since this video has been shot, so much has changed with the whole, they're now declaring themselves broke, and all these people who supported them through the GoFundMe are now raving against them. I mean, are rallying against them. Do you get that? How do you get that goodwill back? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you think. I really am looking forward to hearing what you got to say. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.